I finally got my revenge by following my mother's own twisted advice, which cost her thousands of dollars a month and the roof over her head. And it all started with her constant, cruel refrain, "Go complain to your father." To understand how things got to that point, you need a little backstory. My parents divorced when I was in kindergarten, so no older than 6. My mother, Brenda, got full custody of my sister, Olivia, and me. I believe my mother suffered from borderline personality disorder and was a classic narcissistic parent. Ever since the divorce, she made it her mission to convince us that our father, Mark, was the sole reason for all our financial hardships. If there was nothing to eat for breakfast and we complained, as hungry little kids do, she would snap, "It's your father's fault, so cry to him." She would repeat this phrase for years, never imagining that one day I would do exactly that, and it would become the architect of her downfall. I quickly learned to never complain, to simply do without. My childhood was spent taking care of her. From the time I was about 8 and Olivia was 10, we were trained to come straight home from school, do our homework, clean the house, and fend for ourselves. Don't ask mom to make dinner. Make it yourself. Do all the chores so mom doesn't have to lift a finger. It sounds bizarre, but we thought it was normal. Just like being hit and told daily that we were worthless was normal. Things took a nosedive my senior year of high school. My grandmother passed away a few months before that summer, leaving my mother close to $75,000. A huge sum back in the year 2000. Brenda quit her job and blew through every last cent before the summer was even over. She flat out refused to get another job, cycling through a Rolodex of excuses: "I need a break. Get off my back. I hurt my leg," all while she was out drinking with friends and acting like a carefree teenager. So, I spent my senior year juggling my studies, a part-time job, and essentially parenting an overgrown child who refused to work or help. Whenever a utility got shut off or the fridge was empty, she'd just gripe, "You have a job. Why can't you pay for it?" If I dared to bring up that dad sent her child support, she'd complain that she had to pay for Olivia's college tuition, which I later learned was a complete lie. She would flaunt that child support check when it arrived, waving it in the air and laughing as she called it Mommy's paycheck. When it was time for me to choose a college, Brenda, of course, had saved nothing and did nothing but bellyache about the costs. A private university was out of the question since I only got a partial scholarship. So I chose a reasonably priced and highly regarded state university. I managed to swing the cost of tuition, room, and board for my freshman year because I had filed my taxes and my FAFSA the moment my W-2s came in, securing a decent amount in grants. But during that first year, I almost lost my financial aid for my sophomore year. Why? Because my W-2 tax forms were mailed to our home address, and my loving, supportive mother shredded them and threw them in the trash. This act revealed my mother's greatest fatal flaw, a narcissistic need for control so profound that she would sabotage her own daughter's future just to keep her dependent. I only found out because my sister, Olivia, was home that weekend and saw her do it. Brenda denied everything, of course. When I came home for spring break and pressed her on it, she spun a new lie, claiming her friend, who was a CPA, had them. Olivia called her bluff immediately, phoning the friend who confirmed she had none of our tax information. The friend was deeply concerned and told us to request duplicate W-2s and have them sent to her. She even did my taxes and FAFSA for me, refusing any payment. I think she knew my mom was unstable and felt sorry for us. It was around then that I learned Brenda hadn't been helping Olivia with her tuition at all. A fact my sister had mentioned to our dad, who then confronted Brenda about where the child support money was really going. Her excuse was always the same: he wasn't paying her enough. The next year, it happened again. My W-2s were sent home, and Brenda accidentally threw them in the trash. I had to request duplicates from my summer job not once, but twice, because she kept destroying them. As a result, my tax return and my FAFSA were filed late, and I lost out on the full amount of aid I should have received. At this point in the story, it's probably obvious to anyone listening why one commenter, Starfleet_auxiliary, wrote, "God, that was painful to read. I'm sorry your life had to be like that. But I'm happy your dad was able to help you." And he did. The summer before my third year, I was completely burned out. I was working full-time, saving every penny. But my mother refused to help with food or anything while I was home. She was furious that instead of paying the home phone bill so she could make long-distance calls to her online friends and spend all day in dial-up chat rooms, I had the audacity to buy my own cell phone and pay that bill myself. She played the martyr to her friends, complaining about how hard it was having kids in college who eat you out of house and home and always come to you for money. She even told people I should just drop out because I wasn't applying myself hard enough, even though I was in the honors program. By the end of the summer, I had saved $1,000. But the university wouldn't let me move into my dorm until I paid 50% of the bill up front, which was about $10. 000. I was completely panicked. The university had assured me all summer that I was fine, only to drop this on me on move-in day. In a total state of desperation, I called my dad. This was the moment the entire power dynamic of our family shifted. The years of manipulation were about to be undone by a single act of genuine parental care. He spoke to someone at the university who agreed to give me 24 hours. I moved my things in. And the next morning, my dad, Mark, showed up first thing with a coffee and a donut. He told me not to worry. He was going to fix this, once and for all. We spent the day going from office to office on campus. He co-signed a loan for me, which he later paid off entirely. And then he paid the remaining balance that the loan didn't cover. Afterward, he took me to lunch and laid out the truth. My mother had never paid a single cent toward Olivia's tuition. My sister, who had just graduated, later confirmed this. Dad had co-signed loans for her, too, which he also paid off. He then revealed the most shocking part: my mother wasn't struggling financially at all. As part of their divorce settlement, he was required to pay the mortgage and property taxes on our house. And even though Olivia was an adult and I was living on campus for most of the year, he was still paying Brenda the same amount of child support, about $2,000 a month, tax-free. My tuition and board before aid was about $15 a year. After aid, the balance was usually only $6 She could have easily paid for my entire education with money to spare. As one commenter, Zumbo Prime, astutely pointed out, not only could she have paid both your tuitions, but she would have had money left over. Instead, she played a victim and left you to starve. I was crushed. My whole life. She had made me feel worthless and guilty. When in reality, if it weren't for my sister and me, she would have been homeless after the divorce. Dad asked me to grant him access to my university account so he could prove she wasn't contributing. Then he asked, "How would you feel if I took care of college directly, instead of paying your mom child support?" It sounded like a dream. He even said I could stay with him during my breaks. I called my mom and told her Dad had handled the tuition issue. She showed no remorse. "It's your own fault for not planning your finances better and for pissing away your money all summer," she sneered. I played dumb. "You're right, Mom," I said. "But I did what you always told me to do." I complained to Dad. A month later, my phone rang. It was Brenda. And she was furious. Dad had filed a motion with the court. There was going to be a hearing. He had all the proof: bank statements, university bills, loan documents. He proved she hadn't contributed to either of our educations, which was the sole reason he was still obligated to pay child support. He told the judge he would gladly pay for me to finish college, but he would no longer pay my mom child support. Nor would he continue paying the mortgage on the house. If Brenda didn't want to take over the mortgage, they would sell it. She completely freaked out, calling me selfish. I just calmly reminded her, "Well, my tuition must cost a lot more than what you get in child support, since you were never able to help me out." She just laid on the guilt, crying about how she never got to have 4 carefree years of college. I pointed out that she hadn't worked in 3 years, living a carefree life while I was working and going to school. She completely ripped into me. She tried to get back at Dad by letting the utilities get shut off to make it seem like she was destitute. She then called me to say the power and water were off. So if I wanted to come home for winter break, I'd need to help her out. This, after the previous Christmas. Her present to me was throwing my belongings out on the front lawn in the rain because I couldn't come home from campus one weekend to clean her house. I just told her I'd miss her, but I'd just go to Dad's for the break. She was livid. My dad, my stepmom, and my half-siblings were thrilled to have me. Dad even got me a temp job in his office for the break. He then called Brenda and reminded her that his child support payments hadn't actually stopped yet, so there was no reason for the utilities to be off. Magically, she found the money to turn them back on. That spring, the court made it official. My dad took over my college tuition. He even made sure I got my full financial aid by picking up my W-2s for me. My mom lost her child support and was ordered by the judge to cooperate with the sale of the house. The real kicker? It was actually cheaper for my dad to pay for my college than it was to pay her child support. I had gotten my revenge by causing her to lose her free rides simply by doing what she'd told me to do for years: complain to my father. No regrets. Many people have asked if things are better now. I have a relationship with her, but I've learned not to trust her. A few years ago, she stood me up on my birthday. So now I don't include her in any holiday or birthday plans. After college, she tried to convince me to move to Tennessee to take care of her. She was barely 50, perfectly healthy, and still refused to work. My sister and I had a good laugh about that. For years, she bounced between mental hospitals and relatives' guest rooms, eventually wearing out her welcome everywhere until she wound up in a shelter. Now she lives in subsidized housing. And you know what? She still complains about how bad she has it and how nobody wants to take her in. I know I grew up in a less than perfect situation, But I had my father and my sister. Going through all that taught me to be strong and to rely on myself. Ultimately, this story is a powerful reminder that true strength is forged in adversity and that sometimes the most effective way to defeat a manipulator is to simply follow their instructions to the letter. Have you ever had to use someone's own words or rules against them to escape a toxic situation? Share your story in the comments below.